Okay. 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 Let me just get this.
Are we live? Are we live?
We are live. Let
We're
me just
live.
get that. Get that.
Music. Oh,
Get that. Mute that. Is that you watching?
Mute this. That's me watching. That's me.
Okay, let me get my
Get some
tripod.
tripod. Ooh.
It's mine.
Imported from France. Measuring pad cups.
Pad cups.
Pad cups. Measuring.
Measuring pad cups. Okay.
Pad cup song. Patent pending on that. Copyright.
Trademark.
Rich Zimmerman, 2020.
Don't steal that,
That's
internet.
right. No stealing.
I've got a bot program.
So hopefully y'all can hear us. We're going to get started here in a little bit. We're almost all set up. We're going to be going over measuring pad cups.
We get lots of questions from customers,
Lots of questions.
especially do-it-yourselfers, amateurs, players. That whole community often has questions about measuring pad cups.
Measuring
And
pad cups.
you know, for you professionals, I'm sure you have the way that you do it that works for you. And we're just going to show how to measure some pad cups and also kind of explain some of the numbers that we might be getting and how to kind of deal with those. Like if you don't have a pad stock to work from, like a pro would just go fit the pad cups. And, you know, since we're going to be using MusicMedic pads, if you don't have a full stock of MusicMedic pads, I mean, that would be probably a good way to start, or get yourself a little assortment. That way, if you have to fit cups on an overhaul, you can just fit all the pads and you have all the common sizes, and you don't have to take the time to measure, because we know it's always easier to just fit or scribe in other trades instead of measuring, taking the time to measure. But if you have to measure because we don't have a pad set, or you need just a weird size or what have you, we're going to talk a little bit about that. And Ryan is going to start. Let me zoom up for Ryan. Zoom up. There he is.
Zoom up for Ryan.
All right.
Band name, I call it. Zoom up for Ryan.
So Ryan's got a few pad cups here, and we're going to discuss. What are we discussing? Wow, you have a lot of toolage here too.
You would think this is a lot of tools for measuring pad cups. You would think the only thing you would need would be some kind of caliper or ruler, but really there's other things we have to do in order to kind of get the accurate measurements.
Okay, so you're gonna, but for our amateur friends who might not, they're gonna at least need this, right?
Right. This is the essential thing that you need, besides the actual pad cup itself. But this is the essential thing.
Now your
you need.
caliper is different than the one I'm gonna use.
Slightly different. I do believe we sell.
This has got a metal body, and that's got a plastic body. And Jeff said that the plastic body ones, I mean, these are kind of ubiquitous. You can get these anywhere, but these slide pretty nice. I believe mine is brighter. I got a new. Look at that! I got a new battery.
You got a new battery. It's shiny.
I like that one, but there is really no difference in terms of accuracy. These are both definitely.
Yeah, both of them do inches and millimeters.
And you can use this for machining jobs too, right?
In fact, I do. I do use
Use
this.
that- use that at the lathe?
This exact one on the lathe and on the mill for, measuring. It is fairly accurate. It's nice that it's digital. It's very easy to read.
Cool. So you don't have to deal.
It does inches and millimeters, and for measuring pads, we're going to be using millimeters.
Cool.
Millimeters for measuring pads. So I do have two pad cups here that have pads in them. I'm going to show you how I remove them quickly. I do have some other pad cup demos over here to give you kind of an idea of what you need to do to measure up.
Was that a Z gun?
That was a Z. No, that was the air torch.
Oh, an air torch.
Air
Lovely.
torch, yes.
We're going to incorporate an air torch. Let me see what he's doing over here.
Yeah.
I hear.
Getting it set, heating it up.
We're going to go over some clarinet pad cups and flute
pads
pad
over
cups
here.
too. We're going to start with saxophone.
So the first thing is some kind of heat source to heat up the old adhesive. Could be shellac, could be glue, could be.
Now, last week I had a lot of trouble, Ryan, removing a pad cup.
I saw that. I think a lot of people saw that. It's
What?
Some of this, the shellac, the natural shellac, old adhesives. Sometimes that you have to get them up pretty hot.
Now the other thing I noticed that I was also kind of doing it at like a weird angle like this.
Yeah.
Which I mean, let's be real. We wouldn't actually do that in real life, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But this isn't real life, guys. This is the internet.
Right. This is the internet. This is live internet TV. We're internet famous.
So wait a minute. You just heated that up. Now what are you doing?
I'm going to just go ahead and pry that old pad up. And there we go. You can see
Whoa. Let me
what
get
was
in
behind
here.
that,
Okay.
which was some kind of hot glue, some hot
Can I
melt.
hold this up for them? Oh, now this is an original
Looks like an original
Selmer.
Yep. Selmer.
You know, they bang these out with like just a hammer and a die.
Yeah.
Crazy. Old school.
It was whittled from a larger pad. So the first thing after I get the old adhesive out is to scrape out whatever you need to do, whether you do it this way or whether you use
Cloth to remove it?
cloth. Or I find that if it's hot glue, it's easier to heat it up and then wipe it out versus trying to scrape it out. If it's shellac, a lot of times because it's brittle, you can use some kind of scraper. This is an old pad slick.
Okay.
I also have an actual scraper. The most important thing is getting it from inside the rim, because that will, if you have all the old shellac and glue and you go and measure that, it'll give you an incorrect or a false reading, false measurement. So making sure you clean out the inside of the pad cup. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to make sure it's level. Okay.
Why do you do that?
That is because I have a pad cup here, and I've purposefully, I don't know if you guys can see that, I've purposefully dented that. Okay, it's like a Pringles chip. You can actually see here how it rocks.
Let me show that.
Back and forth.
Let me put this up real close so you can see that.
Whoa!
Whoa!
That's a Pringles chip.
That's like a penny on a railroad track after the train came by.
Yep.
Holy cow.
Yeah, that is like a taco shell right there. A hard
That's
taco
pretty
shell.
yeah, that's taco-y.
So if you measure this, it'll actually give you two different readings. First thing, zero out the caliper. We'll go this way. Okay. This is reading, I don't know if you guys can see that.
30.25.
Yep, 30.2. Yep, 30.25.
Okay.
And I'm going to go this way now, and that gives me a reading of 28.78. So that's quite the difference. So do I pick a 28.78 or do I pick a 30.2, 30.5? So it's important that we make sure that we level the pad cup before we continue. So the way I do that with the bench block, something that's nice and flat, kind of scrape off the edge, get all the old glue, old shellac, and then you just kind of see if you can wiggle it back and forth. This is actually pretty good. We don't really need to do too much leveling. But if you do need to do some leveling, show you here, this is how you would do it. This one kind of rocks back and forth a little bit. So I'm going to bring this front down. I'll hold it like this and just give it a quick tap. Okay, and I don't know if you can see where I'm tapping that right on the corner here, not so much flat. You can't really level a pad cup by doing this. Okay, if this side is up, you need to kind of flip that over and then tap like that. Okay, when you have the pad cup or the pad out, this would be a good time to clean, like I said, clean off the old shellac on the inside. If you have any dents, this, you can see right here, this pad cup.
Holy, what is that dent?
Pretty
that
bad
looks like
dent
a
here.
somebody shot that.
Yeah. So you would want to go ahead and remove those
BB
dents.
gun. Pellet gun?
Another thing to check is the roundness of the rim. Okay.
How do you check roundness? Just by eye?
You can eye it. You can eyeball it. Sometimes that'll you can tell by then. But I like to use our pad cup pliers.
Pad cup and tone hole pliers.
Pad cup, tone hole pliers, and this you can see. I'm checking to see if this rim is even and it's not flared out.
Okay. And so you're using the tool to...
I'm choosing the tool just to kind of hold it. And I don't know if you guys can see how it will.
See.
Yeah.
So if it's going to be plumb or whatever the proper
all the way
term
around
is.
and you'll start to see where it starts to flare out right up there.
So now we're kind of...
Now
if it's
we're kinda
going
like
this way...
So here it's fine like this.
Okay.
Here if I grab it at that flared out part, you can see it really flares out.
So to exaggerate it, so it's going to be... For them, it's going to be headed this way, right?
Yeah, exactly. So what you can do here is you can use those pad cup tone hole pliers. Make sure you have the round side on the inside.
Yeah, yeah.
And you just kind of reform that.
How much pressure are you using to squeeze? I mean, that's a pretty stout. I mean, it's a fairly thick.
Yeah, it's pretty thick, so it does need a little bit of squeeze and move to it, but I'm kind of easing it in. I'm not moving it all at once,
okay.
A whole bunch, so you just kind of ease it in like that. The other thing I found is right here, if you need to kind of tap,
that's
you can
cool.
actually use that flat part of the pliers. The other thing I've done to make sure it's completely round is I've used these tone hole checkers.
Okay.
And sometimes you can fit them in there, and you can see.
Oh, because the tone hole checkers are perfectly round.
Yep, and then you can kind of tap that.
So you're kind of using that like as a mandrel.
Exactly, yeah, or like a mallet. And you can see now how that is not flared up anymore. So that is a nice 90-degree angle.
That's cool. If you guys can hear a dog lapping water,
that's right.
It's actually a dog lapping water.
That's right, yeah. We don't have any leaks. The roof is fine.
Yep. It's not. I don't even think it's raining today.
So
good.
So we've done all the prep work.
Good for the crops.
We've removed all the dents. We've leveled it. We've checked for the rim to see, make sure it's round. Now is the time we go and actually fit.
I think you're being heckled by your dog.
I am. Tough room here. So I picked out a couple pads here of different sizes. One is the correct size, and the other 4 are not. Okay, so we're going to start here. We're going to put this in, and let's see. That one drops in. Ooh, that one's a little too.
Can you hold that up here? Let me see.
Oh yeah, get a nice close-up shot of that. You can see that one is.
So there's a sizable gap between the side of the pad cup and the side of the pad.
Yep. So that pad is way too small.
And why? And if somebody was in a desperate situation, and they needed to use that pad, what would happen?
It would be kind of difficult to actually seat this, because what tends to happen is it gets in there, the pad will actually move, and it won't kind of stay in there. It'll kind of slide out from under you.
Okay.
And plus, it's just an unsightly fit.
Yeah.
So that one is way too small. So that's a no-go right there. Let's take this one right here on this side. Let's see here. As we can see, ooh, wow, this one will not even fit in. I can get it if I can jam it in there and ruin this nice pad, but this, as you can see, is way too big.
So you've got, wow, you can't.
Yeah, you can see if you push that in all the way, it'll really warp that pad, and you want those pads, especially those root pads, to be nice and perfectly flat.
So that's the backing hitting the rim of the pad cup. So there's no way.
There's no way.
That's gonna fit.
Way too big. Way too big. All right. So let's go back over here. Let's check this one out. Still, it's a little bit better than that first one, but you can still see the gap all the way around. So that one's too small. Okay. Let's try this one here. A little bit better. I'm able to get at least a little bit more in, but you can see still some is sticking up.
Let me show these guys this. Oh yeah. Still okay.
Still, just it's getting there. So let's see. By process of elimination, we did Goldilocks and 3 Bears. These were too small. These were too big.
So those are too small.
Let's see about this fit right here, and it should be somewhat snug. Oh, that's it. As you can see, that one fits in there. Nice and flat.
Okay, that's flat.
Yep, it doesn't wrinkle up the leather.
And so we've got room for our glue here too.
Exactly. Yep.
And now, what size is that one compared to these?
If I look at my notes, we measured this, and let me take this back out so we can actually measure that. Hopefully, I can do this without ruining this pad.
You're okay. So were these the too big or the too small?
These are the 2 big ones. So our size, again, going back to measuring. Okay. I measure from the spine.
Hold on.
See here.
Move it like right there so they can see. Yeah.
Okay. So you can see I do it
from the spine.
From the spine to the tip. Okay, and that's giving me a measurement of 30.02 millimeters. Well, 30.01.
So that's a 30 millimeter.
So it's a 30 millimeter. The other thing I'll do to check to see if the pad cup is rounded, I'll do it
the other way. So you do like 12 and 6 and 3 and 9.
Exactly, north, south, east, and west. So you get kind of all those. And this is saying 30.06. So that to me is a round pad cup, and that's why our This is the 30.
Can you measure that pad for them too?
Okay.
Let them see that.
Okay, let's see here.
Because this is where it gets confusing from an amateur perspective. Is you get like 30.06, and is there a tolerance that is going to change that?
Right.
The answer to that is no. You'd be, if it's 30.0 and then a tenth of a millimeter. I mean, you're
There you go.
you're
This
well
one's
within.
measuring right around to 30.12.
Boy, those pads are sized nicely.
They are. They are. The nice thing about this is when you put that in, you apply heat, everything's going to tighten up. So this is going to be an even better fit.
So the pad is going to go in just slightly snug, and then when it's heated, the leather's going to shrink a little bit.
Yeah, everything's going to kind of tighten up, and that's going to be a perfect fit. So yeah, you can see if you put this one in, which is, I mean, that's, I've seen factory pads fit like this, you know, and it works. But this is, to get a really nice pad fit. Yeah, but again, the biggest thing when you're measuring, hopefully you are measuring, okay, that you've done all the prep work. This one right here is measuring 45.56. Again, that's north-south.
Okay.
Let's do the east-west. 45.38. That's pretty close.
So now you've got 45.38 and 45.56.
Yeah.
Talk about when we've got 0.2 millimeters below. So that seems like this is going to be a 45.5. But if it measures 45.3, tell them about rounding and how we do that.
I tend to round up slightly. So let's say I measure it.
So if this measures 45.3.
45.3, I would round up to 45.5. Because
Okay.
you got to take into account that when those pads, you apply that heat to it, it's going to just kind of tighten everything up a little bit.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, I tend to go a little oversized, but not too big, because if you go too oversized, it'll be like this, where I can shove this pad in here, but look at that leather. See how it's wrinkled up? It's puffed up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that's not going to fly.
Right in here.
That's too much.
So the pad is no longer flat.
No longer flat. It's going to be real tough to get that pad, especially if your tone hole is not flat. It's going to be tough to get that pad to seat.
So you're going to have a dickens of a time.
Yes.
Padding.
Yes, it is going to give you a dickens of the time. Gosh golly.
So the key is when we're rounding up, it's basically 0.2 millimeters below a half size. So if it's
Right.
if you've got a 40.3, you would round up to a 40.5.
Correct. Now, on the other hand, if it's maybe like a 40.1, I might go down that size. I might just get a 40.
Okay. And we saw that because the 30 here measured 30.1
Right.
from MusicMedic, because we try to keep our pads basically on size. There is no weird tolerance. It's
That's
just
right.
a 30 measures a 30, within an acceptable, allowable
Absolutely.
tolerance.
Absolutely.
Cool. So now you fit these brown kangaroo leather pads, chocolate
Oh, the chocolate roux.
chocolate roux,
Yes.
and then I see you also have some
I
white
have
roux
some white
pads here.
roux, yep. So if we're going to do this one, again, this is a bit bigger pad. So again, I'm going to do the same thing where I'm just going to heat this up.
And now is that the same diameter as this guy?
I don't believe so.
Let me just see.
I
While
don't
you're
believe
doing
so.
that,
I
I'll
did-
do this. Now there's 4 hands. It's like some
Oh.
sort of piano thing.
It's like a half octopus here.
So this pad is, let's see what this is. We'll measure this pad while Ryan's doing that. I've got my calipers out here. And one thing when I'm measuring saxophone pads, I don't know about you, Ryan, is I'm not really squeezing.
Oh, no, yeah.
I'm not, like this
There you
would
go.
be,
Pop
you can
right
see
out.
me squeezing. I can change this by a half millimeter. So I just put it in the caliper just enough, maybe give it a little shake if the pad doesn't come out. So this says 48.6, maybe even 48.7. Let me just turn it so I can get the southwest, east, north cue.
So, yeah.
You can see this is 48.48. Oh, play that number, guys. That's a lucky number, 48.48. So this is a 48.5, 48.53 in my last measurement.
All right.
So, and this cup is a 44.8. So this is a 45 millimeter cup. So Ryan's got his pad cup cleaned up.
Got the pad cut cleaned up, all the old adhesive out on the inside of the rim in there. Make sure you get all that out.
Let me see that. Look at this work, guys. Look at it. You could eat out of that.
You could.
Like you could put some like
Very-
peanuts in there, or
Yeah, a little snack mix. In case
Nice.
you get hungry working at the bench. So that's usually what I do. First thing, again, make sure the pad cup is completely level.
Okay, so you're just
So
citing that.
I'm just double checking this to make sure there's no wiggle back and forth. This feels pretty good. North, south, east, west. It's a little wiggle. I don't know if you guys can see that. See how close I can bring it.
Yep.
Just that little bit of a little motion. So it's kicked up like this. I'm going to hang it off like so. Again, right at this corner, a glancing blow.
Can you turn it like that and do
Yes.
that again so they can see that?
Okay, so
Because I don't think anybody in the world knows how to do this.
So we're here
Yeah.
like this. So if this is kicked up like this, and I want to bring it down, I hang it over.
So now
like
we're
this.
not talking about measuring pad cups.
No,
we're talking about
yeah,
leveling
we're
pad cups.
Leveling, yeah, leveling. So you got to have a level pad cup. Okay, it's real important. We showed you why it's important with this Pringles chip of a pad cup. It gives you two separate measurements.
I haven't had Taco Bell in so long.
Oh.
This reminds me of Taco Bell in a
Yes, it
way.
does.
Gosh.
So there
That's
we are.
all we have here in Wilmington, North Carolina. It's Taco Bell.
Just Taco Bells. So there we are, nice and level. Again, checking the pad rim for any dents or dings.
And you're
Anything
just
here.
doing that by eye. You don't.
Just eyeing it up. Everything
Okay.
looks good on this. So let's go ahead and measure. Again, starting with that spine.
Okay, and you're using the inside, the ID.
Yes.
You're using this part of the jaw, right?
Yes, exactly.
These guys.
Yep. Of the caliper, this can measure the ID of the inside diameter of things, the insides of pad cups.
Yeah, yeah.
And this right here, you can measure the thickness. So
Okay.
if you wanted to know what your rawhide hammer was,
Or the OD.
yeah, 26.26.
Cool.
So we're good on that. So you would never want to measure a pad cup from the outside and then do some kind of crazy formula in your head.
Well, you can, right? You could subtract. You subtract the thickness of the pad rim by 2, right?
You could.
Pad
yes.
cup rim.
Yep.
But
you
that does seem
It does
kind
seem-
of crazy.
could. Yeah, it's a little crazy. If you can, again, the surest way to measure your pad cups are from inside, the inside diameter. This is measuring a 47.98.
47.98.
Let's measure again, north, south, east, west, 47.97. So
Nice
that
pad
is
cup.
a round, flat pad cup. Okay?
And
That's
so if-
going to be a lot easier to pad with when you put your pad in.
And
Okay,
you've got some pads here.
So I got some pads here.
Let me just interrupt, Ryan. So if you're an amateur and you have taken the time to acquire one of these, you need to take a few extra minutes and get yourself, a proper size screwdriver.
Yes.
Take the keys off. Take the pad off. You're gonna replace it anyway.
Yep. It's just easier. Just take it completely apart.
Mm-hmm.
Take the pad out. Don't try to get in there and try to, heat up pads and take them out with the horn completely assembled. Yeah, take them out. This is
It's
definitely
worth
best way.
the extra effort.
It is, yeah, especially for pad fit.
Yeah.
Especially for pad fit. So I picked out some roux pads here. Let's just start on this side to see.
So now we're fitting. We're fitting again.
We're
So-
fitting. Yes.
Okay. So we measured that, and I'm sorry, 48 something or other.
It's let's measure again just to make sure.
It's only Wednesday. Wait
That's
till
right, so-
Friday.
Oh my goodness.
40.
47.9493. So basically a 48.
48.
Yeah, this is going to be the times that I would round up.
Okay.
So it's a 48. So let's put this in here. Again, you guys can pretty much see.
So this is too small. There's a bit of a gap.
Too small, bit of a gap.
Oh yeah, look at that. It's
Yeah.
almost half the pad. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's quite a bit.
Boy,
Quite a bit.
that
So
pad is so flat.
That is.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
So-
So that's a little too small.
Too small.
What size is that?
This pad
Because
is.
we got a 48 mil cup.
This is measuring 46.75. So let's see when it. So it's like a 47. This is a 47.
Okay. Way too small.
Way too small. Way too small. We know it's a 48, so obviously 47 is not going to fit. Let's try this one.
Now is that a 48.5?
Let's see.
What is that?
That would be, yes, that would be a 48.5. So it was on there, trust me.
Okay. So it's a little, your measurement's a hair over 48.5, but we're rounding down.
Right, right. So this is a 48.5. You can see it doesn't even want to go in the pad cup.
Oh gosh, and it's starting to distort. And if
Yeah,
you
can
force
push
it
that
in there,
Yep, but
and there's no resonator here. That we didn't talk about that. If a resonator wouldn't even, what would that do? The resonator wouldn't allow you to even press it in, or
it would be tough. Yeah, it would definitely buckle the pad. The resonator would try to hold it flat, but again, this pad surface, that leather, you can see how it wants to fold up.
Mm-hmm.
So this is, again, too big. Let's try this one here. This one is much better than this, but you can still see just a small gap. Small bit of spacing that goes all the way around.
Oh, yeah. Yep. And if I pull the pad over this way, oh, yeah.
Yep. So, now right there, let's go to this one. This may be...
Is that our 48.0
I believe this
pad?
is our 48.0, so we can see here how I can just... It has a good feel.
When you say good feel, what do you mean?
When you kind of press it in, you don't have to really force it in there. It kind of wants to just ease in. And
But with a little bit of resistance?
Just a little bit of resistance. You can see it'll hold it.
Ah, there's your test. So you put the pad in, you tap on the back of it, the pad doesn't fall out.
Doesn't fall out, and it's flat.
Mm-hmm.
If you put that pad in and it does this, and you see that wrinkled leather, that's no good.
Yeah, that's your Taco Bell shell.
That's your Taco Bell shell. Yeah, that's
And
your.
you don't
your
want that.
Gordita Extra Crunch Supremes. So, but you can see it's in there. The leather is nice and flat. It doesn't pop out. This cup measured a 48. The pad's a 48. There you go.
And you're good to go.
You're good to go.
Ryan, will you stay here while can we just measure some flute and clarinet pads too? So for you guys to see, what we also have is some clarinet pads, and I've pulled out basically what you would, most amateurs would be confused about. So here is a top joint pad cup, and I've got a couple different sizes of pads. One's a 9.5, one's a 9, and then I have also a cork pad, because these fit in the pad cups differently than a pad that has a step on it. So this is a double skin medium pressed bladder pad that we make here, and this is very common. Synthetic pads would fit the same as a cork pad. So we have a cork pad here, and Brian's going to show you how that fits. And then I also have this is a, what is that? That's from the bottom joint, the F sharp sliver.
F-sharp.
And then we've got a this is another bottom joint key, and this is a very common size. I think it's 16.5. And then we've got a stack key, closed hole on flute, and then we also have your C key. So let's start with, I like this. I'm like the producer.
Yes, let's do this.
Let's start, Ryan. Let's start with the G sharp key here.
All right.
So Ryan's going to measure the inside. Oh, do it with this one. Yeah, let's switch calipers too, so they can see the other caliper.
All right. So here we are. We're zeroed out, 0 millimeters. Again, we're measuring the inside using these jaws here. This measures your ID, your inside diameter. Again, I'll kind of take a look to make sure there's no glue, old glue. Yeah, let's clean that out.
So that's got a little bit of smudge in there.
Just a little bit in there. I could see it when I went to...
Smooch?
Smut?
I don't know what that word is. Could somebody comment with that word? Schmutz?
Schmutz? I think it's schmutz.
Schmutz?
It's not schmucks, because we're schmucks. We're schmucks. This is...
Schmutz? What about
schmatz? Okay, so I've cleaned that out. This one, again, if you want to, you can go ahead and check, make sure it's level. It's so tiny. Yep, it's level.
Doing good. Okay.
Just to double check. And again, I'm checking the inside diameter. And this is measuring, let's see here, north-south, 8.96, east-west. Let's see, get it in there, 8.81. Okay.
So around a 9 millimeter.
9 millimeter, yeah.
ID. Now with clarinet pads, when you're measuring a clarinet pad, if you're using, let's start with the cork pad. So I've taken out a 9 millimeter cork pad. So this is going to fit the same way as a sax pad would. You're going to take your pad and slide it down into the cup, and it should have a little bit of pull on all sides. It should fit firm.
It should feel slightly firm. It shouldn't feel like you're forcing it in there, that you're bending that, warping the cork pad. But yeah, that it does. You can see the rim all the way around when you look straight on. So it does, like Rich says, it kind of fits in the pad cup exactly like a sax pad.
And that looks really great. Now I'm going to show them, while you take that out, I'm going to show them the bevel again. So on a bladder clarinet pad, you've got your felt, which is on the top here, and that's what's going to be touching the tone hole, and then you have the backing. So on a bladder pad, we've got this bevel between the thickness or the diameter of the cardboard and the diameter of the felt. And when we manufacture these, we set this bevel, which I think is around 1 millimeter or 1.5. I'm not sure. The details of that are kind of irrelevant right now. Just you have to know that this diameter of the backing is different than the top. So when we're measuring a clarinet pad and we're measuring the inside diameter of the pad cup and we want to double check, we're going to measure the backing of our bladder pad. So Ryan's going to measure the backing of that pad, and then I've got another pad here. One of these is a 9 millimeter and one of these is 9.5.
Right.
So
here we are, we're measuring cardboard, which is coming out to about a 7.89, so about an 8.
8 millimeter,
8
okay.
millimeter.
And then let's see what this guy is right there. It may be even the same. It may be very similar.
Yeah, let's see here. This one again, just that cardboard back. You can see how I'm.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Just the cardboard. This is coming out to a 8.40, so it's just a little bit bigger.
Now that would, if we're going just by our measurements, the 8.4 would be closer in size to this 8.8 ID of your pad cup. So my guess is that this slightly larger pad is going to fit in the pad cup.
So do we want to try this one first, the one that you don't?
Yeah, let's try that one.
This one. So this one was the slightly smaller one. So let's see in here. I don't know if you guys can see the.
Oh gosh, that's moving around quite a bit.
Yeah. I can see a gap. It's not really sitting in there very well. It just feels a little under. It's wiggling around too much. It's a little undersized.
And let's see. Now I'm going to measure the top part of the. I'm going to measure the felt from this side, and so this tells us when we're measuring clarinet pads. So we measured the pad cup. And now we're measuring the actual pad. So this is a 9 millimeter clarinet pad. So if you order a 9 millimeter, this is how you would get it, as a 9.0, because we measure the felt. So if we measure the backing one more time, we're going to find that the backing is 8.2. So it might be just a hair small for the ID of a clarinet pad, clarinet cup. So let's try the next pad.
So this was the larger one. This fits in. Oh yeah,
that's good.
That is a good, nice firm fit.
So that fits firm, and the felt is going all the way around the rim of the pad cup, and this is going to give you room for some glue, and it's going to allow the pad to sit level in the pad cup.
Absolutely.
And just to kind of like recap this, guys, so we have a 9 millimeter. We had basically a 9 millimeter pad cup. We have a 9 millimeter cork pad or synthetic pad that would fit down in the cup. And then with our bladder pads, so if you're taking your clarinet apart and you find the pads are like this and you want to reuse these, which is perfectly fine, a 9 millimeter bladder pad was too small. You need to go up a 0.5 millimeter. So we did those. Let's also show them that same principle, Ryan, with a bigger pad cup and our root pads for clarinet.
All right.
These should fit similar to what we have here. This is the cork pad or synthetic pad.
So here we are measuring again the inside diameter, checking to see all the old glue is gone. Getting a measurement. This is saying 16.04. And this is saying 16.02. So it's a 16.
16 millimeter
16 millimeter pad.
So one of these pads, these are our root pads for clarinet. So this is a clarinet felt that we have. It's got a ladder underneath there to seal it for air, and then we have the roux leather wrapped. These pads are going to sit down in the cup. So I have one that's a 16 millimeter pad and one that's a 16.5. So you can see the difference.
Game. I don't know which one is which. I don't know which one is which. Let's see. Let's start with this one. Just kind of put that in there.
And these pads should fit down. They're not going to sit up on top of the pad cup rim like a bladder pad. Ooh.
Yeah, so
Oh.
that one fits. That fits pretty good.
Ooh. Ooh, that looks nice.
That is a handsome pad right there.
Handsome pad. Mm-hmm.
That one fits pretty good. Let's try this one here.
And those pads have a nice feel, nice legato feel. Run your fingers down.
So this one you can see doesn't really fit in. In fact, it won't even go in the
Let's
pad
hold that
cup.
up. So this has got to be our 16.5.
Yeah, 16.5, just way too big. So go back to that 16. You can see how it kind of just. It's a nice fit again.
Oh, there's the tap.
There's the tap, so it's staying in there.
So if you
pad
guys
is completely flat, that's important.
So you turn it over, tap it, doesn't come out. Yeah. It's flat on the pad cup itself. You've got a perfect fit there.
Yep, that's a good one.
Okay, so just to recap while Ryan's getting his flute cups ready, if you're measuring a pad cup for, say, root pads for clarinet, you want to measure the ID of the pad cup and then just order that ID.
Correct.
Or any leather clarinet pad. If you're measuring the ID and getting a bladder pad, you want to add a 0.5 millimeter. Now, I think we have an article on the site that says add 1.5 millimeters, but that's not the case with this particular pad cup that we have here. Okay, so let's forget about this one. Everybody, we've shown them the basics. Let's go on to some flute pads.
Flutes, all right, fantastic. Let's start with this one here.
So we've got a bottom stack. We've got the shim removed. We have the old pads removed already. The washer and screw has been removed. And Ryan's going to measure the pad cup, and he's got 2 different pads there, I believe.
Yes. All right, so again, zeroed it out. Again, we're measuring the inside diameter. I do this way. This is saying 18.28.
Okay.
And this way is saying 18.20. So I probably would go with 18 on this.
Okay.
Okay.
So if we're at point 3, we would probably round up.
Might round up. It's right borderline. It might be one of those that if you're going to stock pads, maybe stock, the size below, and then size above.
Okay, so let's measure our pads and see what we have here, because I can't remember. I believe I took 18s out of the bin.
Let's see here.
And what I did, guys, is I took the key over to the pad shop and fit some pads into the cup too.
Okay, so here we are. So this is reading 17.98. Let's see what happens when we go up to that 18 is. Yep.
So that's 17.98. That would be an 18
That would be
millimeter
an 18.
pad.
Yep, there it is, right there. So that's our 18. Let's see how that fits.
Does that fit in there all right?
Fits in there all right.
She's like, get back to work. So there's a little bit of a gap here. Actually, not much. Yep, so that doesn't fall out. So that's an 18 millimeter pad cup with an 18 millimeter pad.
All right, so flick that out. Let's try this one here. That one actually fits a little bit better.
Is that our 18.5?
That, I believe, is. Yes, let's go ahead and measure that out. Flick that out. Go here. Actually, this is saying 18.43. So
that's
18.5.
Nice. So the 18.5 is going to give us a nice feel or a nice fit in the cup on this particular pad cup. So we had an 18 millimeter cup, but we ended up putting in an 18 millimeter pad or 18.5 pad. Is that right?
Yes. Yes.
So on flute pads, you're generally ordering for the cup size. 18 millimeter pad cup, you'd want an 18 millimeter pad, but in this case, we decided to go with a slightly bigger pad just for the feel.
Correct.
All right, well, let's go. This will be our last pad cup. So we've got our C key. Now, it looks like there's 2 pad cups there.
This is a fun, interesting little thing. The pad only goes in one of these.
Oh.
Yes. One is the touch. So if you're playing here, I'll bring it right here and show you. One is the touch. The other one is the actual pad cup. They both look like pad cups, but it's a trick. But wait, this one right here, and I have seen it where some, do-it-yourselfer, maybe a dad at home sees there's nothing under there and decides, well, I'm going to put a pad under there. If you
a little extra stability.
Yeah, if you want to do that, yes, you're only required to have the amount of 17 pieces of flare. If you want to go above that and have your 18 pieces of flare by putting a pad in there, you can do so. Completely unnecessary. Completely unnecessary.
Yeah.
Don't waste your time. So, yeah, so I thought we'd mention that. So, yeah, the smaller one, again, is the actual pad cup. The other one is the touch.
So that's for our professional colleagues. That would just be called job security.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Thank you. We'll go
you.
ahead and fix that for you.
Thank you.
So
Yes.
Ryan's going to measure the ID again with the ID side of the calipers, north, south, east, west.
That's right. So this is measuring 11.6.
11.6.
This is 11.73. So it's like 11.5.
Okay.
I would say 11.5 on this. I might even, if I had a selection of pads, I might even go to a 12. Fit it with a 12.
And let's see what we got. 11.4 for this and 11.6. So these are both 11.5s. What I wanted to show them is we've got two different thicknesses of pads here. This one is a 2.9 and this one is a 2. It wants to focus on like your hands here. You hold it. So this one is a 2.7 and this one is a 2.9. So here's your 2.7.
Okay.
Show them the protrusion there, and then there's the 2.9.
All right, so we'll put this in here. This is a good fit, but you can see the protrusion. I don't know if you can see that. It doesn't really stick out.
Can you guys hear our customer service guy there?
They're working up a storm over there. Hopefully they can't hear the background, but only we can hear it.
So that's
super hearing.
So that's 11.5 pad, perfect fit. It's a little too low in the pad cup though.
Just a little too low. Let's try this. Now, what thickness was this again?
2.9.
2.9. Let's put that in there.
So we've got. Let's see. Let's show them that.
That's a lot better.
So if you're using some glue-in pads on Flute, you do want a little bit of protrusion, as well as what we haven't accounted for the glue though. Would that be okay?
It would be one of those things if you're doing if you're just using a dab of glue to kind of keep it in there and doing kind of a semi-float. This might be okay.
Okay.
Okay. Or if you're actually adding a nice layer of whatever type of adhesive you're using and doing a true float, you may want to go with the thinner pads. What I've always done is whatever I pull out, if it's a thick pad, I'd probably put a thick pad back in there.
Okay.
But I would eye it up and make sure that the protrusion of all your pads are fairly close, fairly uniform.
And then for the last, let's just give one last note. What about on a stack key? Would you want to use? So I think, this is a 2.9. That's your protrusion with the 2.9. Would you want to go down a little bit?
I would there because, again, you have the possibility of using shims. And you can see this one had 2 shims in it. So I might go a little undersized, check it out, and then if I need to, add some shims.
Cool.
Versus starting with something that's too thick and then it's hitting in the back and then you're having to, bend keys around, which, if you're not comfortable doing that, don't.
Right.
But yeah, maybe go with the thinner and then add your shims to make up that difference.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Well, that's it, guys. If you have any questions or comments, please reach out to us.
All right, get yourself a nice set of calipers. That's going to be handy.
Professional caliper, I think, is in stock. I think our standard caliper is in stock, too. That's good. Nice and accurate.
It is.
Thank you, guys, for watching.
Yes.
As always, if you have any questions, reach out to us. And until next time, happy repairing.